Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Good morning and welcome to the Sticks Radio Show here on Secular Sounds with me, Terry Sullivan. I hope you're gearing up for the summer. The kids break up, I believe, this week, so everybody's going on holidays, except for me. Anyhow, today on the show, we've got two great guests. Later on in the hour, we'll be talking to Matt-hale. He's a Hertfordshire-born comedy hypnotist who now lives in Australia. We're talking to him about his show. But first up, we've got the original drummer from the Undertones, Billy Doherty. We're going to be talking to him in a few minutes after we hear this from the Undertones, probably their biggest hit or their most famous song. This is Teenage Kicks.
She was mine, she looked so good. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night. I'm gonna call her on the telephone, have her over 'cause I'm all alone. I need excitement, oh I need it bad, and it's the best I've ever had. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through. Street, another girl in the neighborhood. Wish she was mine, she looks so good. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night. I'm gonna call her on the telephone, have her over 'cause I'm all alone. I need excitement, oh I need it bad, and it's the best I've ever had. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night. Where I am. I wanna hold her tight. Get teenage kicks right through the night. Where I am.
And that's Teenage Kicks from my guest today. He's the drummer with the fabulous Undertones. It's Billy Doherty. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, Terry.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, and yourself?
Oh, well, not too bad. I'm always good this time of the morning, so it always works for me. I find it incredible. You're on a tour, and I read about it. 40 years on. 40 years since Teenage Kicks, or since the Undertones started. That is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a long time. It's a lifetime for some people. We're very fortunate that we're still continuing.
Yeah, I mean,
the shows. People like the band.
Yeah, it's interesting how the sort of 70s and the 80s bands, people still have like an affection in their heart for the sound and for the band themselves.
Yeah, well, we did a thing there for the BBC, and it was like an unfettered audience, and the audience was a real mixture. I mean, there were guys even older than us, and then you had teenagers, and then you had really young kids. So I don't know what the attraction is for the band, but maybe it's the sound, maybe it's the songs, maybe it's a combination of everything. But we still get people to the shows.
Well, it's great. I mean, I'll tell everybody where they can see you towards the end of the chat we'll have. Because I must admit, I remember you very well. I was around at college when the punk era started. So I'm one of these old boys who come and see you.
Okay, good. Well, we're like old boys, watching old boys as well.
Well, you're not as old. I don't think you're quite as old as me. Well, I don't know. You might be, but I'm not. Well, let's not discuss the age thing anyway.
Yeah, you shouldn't ask a lady how old she is.
And no, I'm. Do you know what? I always avoid asking people how old they are. It doesn't matter whether it's a gentleman or anything. But tell us a little bit about how the Undertones started. It was 1975, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's around about 1975, and we were all mates. Michael and I went to school along with Fergal. Fergal was the original singer.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to hang out in the O'Neill's house. It was John and Damien O'Neill. We used to play football, and we used to hang out together. And we got an interest in music from about maybe 13, 14 years old. And then, because we couldn't afford any equipment, we managed to get part-time jobs, bought ourselves some equipment, formed a band, and we just continued ever since. We're very lucky that John Peel picked up Terry Sullivan initially, with good vibrations, got us to record Teenage Kicks in Belfast, and John Peel picked up on it and played it on the radio show, and then became Record of the Week with Peter Powell on BBC, and then, as I say, the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean...
we signed to Share Records, who had the Ramones and Talking Heads on their stable, and we've been going ever since.
I know. Well, John Peel, if I remember correctly, he played it 2 or 3 times a show.
Yeah, he played it twice. He played it back to back.
Did he?
Whenever we sent the record to John Peel, because surprisingly back then it's very easy to get through to the BBC, and particularly easy to get through to John Peel.
Yeah.
So whenever we sent the record to John Peel, we phoned him up and said, "Did you get the record?" And he says, "Yeah, I like the record, and I'm going to play it, say, on a Tuesday, whatever." But we didn't know what time. So the whole band and all our mates, we assembled into O'Neill's front room, and during the show we played Teenage Kicks, and it was such a thrill, really excited to hear a record on the radio, but especially when it's John Peel. But the sooner we had the record finished, and he picked it up, I think his words were, "That is so good, I'm going to play it again." And we were just really speechless, because we've never, because back then there was really only like Top of the Pops or BBC radio. That's probably about the height of what music you could get, or maybe the Old Whistle Test. The fact that he's playing the record twice, we just couldn't believe it. It was just so exciting, and particularly on the John Peel show. Now, the only way that I can really describe this is if anyone has ever seen the Terry Sullivan film, or the Good Vibrations film by Terry Sullivan, they dramatise that scene in Terry Sullivan's house whenever Terry is listening to the radio. They dramatise the reaction, the feeling, for the film, and that's the closest visually, that I could describe the way we felt. It's very difficult to describe.
Yeah. It must be amazing. I suppose it's like having a baby, isn't it? Not that I've had one, but you know what I mean.
I've never had a baby.
No, I've never had one, so I can just imagine it living like that, though.
But it was. You got to understand that we were just kicking a football, around the streets of Derry, and all of a sudden we're on BBC Radio 1. Not only on BBC Radio 1, but we're on the John Peel show.
Yeah.
And he's played a record twice.
Yeah.
Now, there's even today, even up to 2016, I don't think I've ever heard a record ever being played back to back.
No.
Ever.
No, you won't. I won't be playing it back to back. So you won't. No. But Derry isn't exactly the hotbed of musical talent, is it?
Not really.
Certain places like Liverpool, you've got Manchester, you've got London, obviously, the big epicentres of groups, the famous Liverpool groups, famous Manchester groups, and obviously loads of groups in London. But Derry, it wasn't really an epicentre of it, was it? So you really did get...
the scene back then was like the show bands, and then country and western bands, and cover bands, and rock bands. But we were essentially starved off music because of the troubles in Northern Ireland. Very few bands came to play in Northern Ireland generally. So whenever the punk thing kind of came along, it really was ideal for us. It was a great distraction for us. But we had the difficulty, even though we were rehearsing and playing and writing songs, we had no outlet to play our music. So we just kept at it, and we managed to get a residency in a local bar called the Casbah Bar in Derry, and then we played there twice a week, and we got a following, and then we had a fan base, and we just kept continuing, and we just kept going through until we got a record deal. But most definitely, no, there was no rock and roll scene like New York or California or something. There wasn't. I mean, the only acts that really came out of there at the time were Joseph Locke and Dana. And then obviously with Phil Coulter.
Dana, yeah, I remember Dana. Goodness gracious me.
Dana, yeah, she won the Eurovision.
That's right, she did indeed.
There was a great documentary about the Eurovision. It was on BBC4, and she was actually talking about it. Yeah. She was so young, similarly to the Undertones, she was that young that she had to take her school books with her whenever she was doing the Eurovision. She thought she was never going to win it. In the same situation, Damien, who was in the Undertones, a guitar player, he was so young, he had to get his mum to sign the recording contract. He was all seen as a minor.
Well, I mean, that's great news. I mean, she went on to politics as well, didn't she, as well, in Ireland, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
I recently we did a thing for City of Culture a few years ago back in Derry, and it's the first time I ever met Dana, and she was very, very nice, and we got on very, very well.
Yeah, back in the day, you would never associate a punk band with Dana, would you? Never mind. Things all change, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I read somewhere, or I think it was on I was watching YouTube, there was a story about the Undertones, and it said that Teenage Kicks was written in very, very short time.
Well, John actually wrote this. I wrote the drumming, the song. It probably was. I think John penned it very, very quickly. But John was influenced by a lot of early rock and roll, and you can kind of tell that from the record, with the record as well. It has that kind of rock and roll sort of Phil Spector.
Yeah, a bit of Johnny Kidd and the Pirates in there and that sort of thing I can hear.
Yeah, that type of thing going on.
Yeah, it's good. So when you were growing up in Derry, who did you sort of listen to, and who did you enjoy listening to as a drummer and as a boy, basically?
Well, I mean, any TV that had music on it, regardless of what type of music, for me, from a drummer point of view, regardless of what it was, if it had been anything, Top of Pops, Old Whistle Test, anything that showed a drummer, for me, it was compulsive viewing. The only thing that I honed in on was the drummer, regardless of the style of music. That's all I was concerned about.
And who was your sort of hero? Who was you? Was it somebody, the guy from Led Zeppelin, Bonham, or?
Well, I mean, drummers are really like a band of brothers. I mean, there's so many guys out there. I mean, there's tons and tons of them. But like for me, Charlie Watts was a huge influence on me. I'm a huge fan of Charlie Watts.
Yeah.
He's a drummer with the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And a guy called Al Jackson Jr., he was a drummer. He's unfortunately dead now. He's a drummer with Booker T and the MGs.
Oh, great, yeah.
So many. There's a guy called Ainsley Dunbar as well. David Bowie. There's so many.
There's some great drummers. I know. I must admit that one of the guys who's been on the show recently, and he's now left the Moody Blues. He was for 25, 30 years the drummer with the Moody Blues. A gentleman called Gordy Marshall, and I saw Gordy up close and personal a couple of years ago, very, very close to a drummer, and it's the closest I've ever been to a drummer, and I could not believe how hard work it is. I think people think they sit at the back there just, should we say, idling their hours away, but it's damn hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, well, with the Undertones, because we would cram on maybe 25 songs in about an hour and a half, and they're very, very fast, and there's really, you barely get a chance to come up for air. So for me, it's quite physical.
I think it's for I'm like you now. Since I've seen Gordy, I actually watched the drummer in the band, and I cannot believe. I mean, that must be some hell of a workout. It must keep you very fit.
Well, I would do a lot. I used to do a lot of cycling, and that kept my fitness level very high. But when you're drumming, I mean, you got all four limbs going. You got your two legs and your two hands, and they're all working independently. So you got all that coordination going on, and you got to remember the songs and the steps. And I make loads of mistakes every time we play. I mean, it's a constant thing. We still make mistakes. But we introduced a metronome to the sets to try and keep the songs at a constant speed, but we just scrapped that idea. But actually, we were playing faster now than we did way back in 1978 and 1979. We're actually very, very, and we're actually getting faster as well.
Are you?
Getting older. You think we'd start to slow down, but
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm trying to slow down. I'm getting close towards 60, so I'm trying to slow down, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
you drummer as well.
Sorry, I don't drum. No, not at all. No, not at all. I mean, physically and work-wise, I thought, oh, once I turn 50, I'll slow down and everything else. But it's not gonna. It doesn't seem to be happening. So it's the. I mean,